Hi, Susan. How are you today?
Oh, good morning, Seal. It's nice to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. It's funny, certain holidays once they're over, you don't say happy, merry, whatever. But
Right.
I think we are all so happy to see 2021 that I'm not saying Happy New Year until January is well over.
Well, I'm okay with that.
I think that I talked about it with a couple people. No, there is not a significant change this early in January. There's still things we have to be concerned about, but it still feels like we're getting a fresh start and there's an end in sight to something.
Time moves on.
Yeah.
We have a amaryllis plant that
Mhm.
Roger's mom gave us years ago. And Roger took it upon himself to every year, he puts it in the garage and does that. I'm terrible with plants.
Yeah, they require a lot of care that I don't have the patience for.
So he brought it out, several weeks ago and it started shooting up again. And this morning he said, look, and there's the bud coming up. And I said,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
life goes on.
Yes.
It's like a symbol of rebirth and
Yes.
hope. So yeah,
I
it's good.
like that. That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
So we're excited to be starting this year with our first podcast, and we are going to talk about our last year's Workroom Accountability Mentoring Group, our WAM group, and what we're going to be doing for this year.
Yeah. So last year, episode 32, which was in January of 2020, um, was about starting this workroom and accountability is a big word, mentoring group. And that's why we call it WAM, because it's too hard to
That's so
say
much
workroom
easier.
and accountability workroom group. So we started this WAM group. And at the time, our goal was to bring people together that were on the same journey.
Mhm.
So although it's wonderful to have mentors that are experienced and been in the business for 25 or 30 years, like we have, there's something special about connecting together with people that are on the same path of the journey that you
Yes,
are. And we had that when we were coming along in our businesses. We were able to connect and build lifetime friendships
absolutely.
and peer friendships with other workrooms that really made an impact on us and our business. And we wanted that for other people. We're trying to figure out how can we get these new people all together.
Right.
There's Facebook, of course, but everybody is coming from all different directions. It's like, crazy. So really having a focused group
Mhm.
with people that have been in business for 5 years or less and who wanted that accountability and a safe place to ask questions and not feel like it's a stupid question or not feel intimidated by the answers or putting something in a Facebook group where someone might reply and say, everybody knows that, or, something to make them feel
Or check the search bar. That question's been
right. Yeah. Google is your friend. So we wanted a safe place where they could share. And certainly the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library is the best place for that because there's so many resources there. So by having our discussion group private, monitored, just for the WAM members
Mhm.
in a library, I just have this, I love that it's called a library now. It
I
used to be
do too.
used to be called the forum, but now it's the library because it gives this image of our group, gathered together like at a table in a library with all the books and videos and resources around us. And, you just need one person to get up and walk over to the shelves and get it, or check with the librarian or go to the computer and put in the search and find out where that information is. So thank you for keeping that going. And it, I don't know about you, but I think it was a huge success. So we started off last year going, we don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
We don't know who the members are going to be.
Or if we'd even have anybody interested.
Right.
Fortunately, we did have people who were interested, so that
Yeah.
was a good thing. And it's, I don't know if I've shared this before, Susan, but when Janelle and I discussed me purchasing the library from her, as a kid, reading was something that I enjoyed from the moment I learned to read. And I have a lifelong friend who I grew up in the same neighborhood, and she can remember riding her bike in the summertime and seeing me sitting on the front step reading a book, and she wondered who
Oh.
would do that? Why would you? But I still remember the very first time I was allowed to go to our township library by myself.
Oh,
And it
that's
was this
special.
cute little library. It was not, it's, in its original form, was not very big. But applying for my library card and
Right.
being able to go and get books was so meaningful for me. And the idea that um, people who were born after the internet probably can't even begin to appreciate that feeling of standing in one room and saying everything I need to know is here, and I can find out about anything I want in this place. And I can remember when the library moved, it was across a very busy street, and I remember the first time I was permitted to go there by myself and cross that busy street. So the library has some really special memories for me. So now being the, I prefer to refer to it as being the curator of the library.
Mhm.
I don't
Right,
own any of the information that's in
right, right,
it. It's
right.
our industry's information. But the willingness to learn and
Mhm.
the excitement that our WAM members brought to us, both you and I commented throughout the entire year. They have brought as much to us
Yeah.
as they may think we brought to them. They did a lot of the work themselves. When we started it, none of us could have imagined that we weren't going to be able to get together in person, that we weren't going to be able to,
Yeah.
that we were going to be isolated in our homes. Two of our members were homeschooling while they were
Oh.
running their businesses, and they still showed up for our meetings. uh,
I don't know how,
I don't
but
know how
yeah.
either.
And, you know, and last January, we were all gonna meet together at the conference, which had to be postponed, and so, you know, I don't know, you know, it was I don't know why we decided to do this, but maybe
I don't remember why we started.
I don't
I
know.
don't. I'm glad we did it, but I don't
Yeah, it's
remember what the impetus was. And I know you and I regularly have conversations about education and bringing new people into the industry and supporting them. Both of our businesses are really based on that mission.
yes, yes, yeah.
So it's not strange. It's just neither.
It just seems like it was really needed for this year. Like, we didn't know that COVID was gonna hit,
Right. That's right.
but the WAM group ended up being so important to me
Yes.
just for that connection every month of the WAM meeting and the joy.
Yes,
And
and getting to see them all face to face, even if it wasn't in person, it was still a connection. I mean, I think we all probably have had our fill of Zoom meetings. However, it's still the. I mean, I'm going to a Zoom shower.
oh.
Nephew and his wife are having twins, and we're going
Oh,
to do a Zoom shower.
yeah.
So I think that's incredible and exciting because otherwise we wouldn't be doing it.
I think it gave us purpose too.
Yes. Yes.
Now, every month, you know, we started out giving them assignments
Hmm.
just to get them, you know, going. And then we sort of stepped back
Right. And
and took our cues from them. So I used their discussions a lot of times for our podcast, a 30 minutes with Workroom Tech podcast and blog. And we started off giving them assignments, and they would go to the podcast and the blog, and then we discuss it. And then it sort of took off and grew on its own organically. And we
right.
were able to sit back and watch them help each other. And wow,
I think
it was just amazing.
your idea to have them ask some questions to give us some content was brilliant. And it also showed us that they didn't really need assignments. They
Yeah.
had they had enough challenges within the early stages of their businesses that allowing them to pose questions really was a better format for us. And one of the things that one of the many things I was grateful to them was that they allowed us to be fluid with what we were doing because
Yeah.
quite frankly we didn't quite know how any of this
No.
was. We had some vague ideas and some general expectations, but we really didn't know how this was going to
And
go.
they were good sports.
Oh, they were
They
wonderful.
really, you know, because there's things I would like to explore, you know, we just ask, and they would be generous with their time and their ideas and their resources. And wow, it's just I'm just so glad we did this.
I am too, and seeing their different circumstances. We mentioned two of them are homeschooling children. Not everyone is at this full time yet. We had one member who often joined into our meetings while she was on her dinner break from her
From
job,
her job, yeah.
and still trying to do this on the side and getting started with it. So and we had members who suffered losses while this was going on, and we were
And a grandchild was born during
and a
all
grandchild was born.
so
Yes, like it really, like you said, the amaryllis is a great symbol, and this group was a great symbol of what life is about. We had joyful times, we had times where we're all looking at each other like, we're still in lockdown. How is this possible?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's been a year, and I am grateful to all of them for the inquisitiveness and the excitement and the eagerness and willingness to learn that they brought to us, because it really did cheer me up on more than a few of our meeting nights.
Yeah.
Like just knowing, like, I got to finish dinner. It's almost time for
Just
our WAM meeting.
the kindness and generosity, and when someone had, because the group's private, they could share their disasters.
Yes.
And everybody coming on going, "Oh, that's sucks." I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You just need to hear that sometimes.
Yes,
You don't need to fix it. You just need somebody to go, "Oh boy, yeah, that fabric, that linen, that customer, that this,"
Yeah.
you need that in a private setting.
Right.
They also shared pricing,
Mhm.
and
And
the
had
case
really
studies were amazing.
the in-depth conversation that we had. um, I often see pricing questions on some of the Facebook groups, and it's very often met with, where do you live? What's
Yeah.
your, um, and we discussed those things, but as new workrooms, one of the concerns is always, well, but it takes me longer because I'm
Yeah.
new at this. And so therefore, shouldn't I charge less? No, no, you shouldn't. But hearing that from other people in the same circumstance, and being like, oh, how long does this take you? I've never made this before. Can anyone help me with this? They really were amazingly generous with their time and information with each
And
other.
I think they built confidence over the year.
Yes,
I think so.
I think so too.
I would like to give a shout out by first name to our WAM members who
Okay.
are hopefully listening to this. In no particular order, I just jotted down the names. Leslie, Kate, Susan, Jennifer, Lashika, Lori, Kendra, Angie, Jessie Lee, and Jamie. So they were our very first WAM members,
Mhm.
class of 2020. They have graduated.
However,
However, none of them want to leave. I don't have children, but I think that's a pretty common scenario, right?
it actually is.
We don't want to kick them out of the nest either.
Yeah, we don't want to be empty nesters where WAM is concerned. I think we've talked through this a number of times, trying to think of what is the best way to transition, what's the best way to move forward. And I think what you came up with is really the best way for us to do this.
So we're going to ask the members that have been with us for this past year to stay on board, but we want you to become mentors to 10 new people that come in.
Right.
You had, speaking to these 10 ladies, you have been amazing. And what you have shared and your honesty, it's just going to help other people so much.
Yes.
So we want you to stay. We want you to help monitor the group discussion, because with 20 people, the discussions might be a little more busy.
Yeah.
We would love for each of you, if you would like, to host some of our meetings. So, Celia and we'll still be there. And believe me, I want to keep attending the meetings.
Oh, absolutely.
It's cocktail hour. It's what is okay.
Adult beverages are welcome.
Let's be honest. It's turned into a cocktail hour. But, but we want our 1 year WAM members to have a little ownership of
Yes.
the WAM program.
Yes.
And we were just talking a few minutes before the podcast started, how 10 people sounds like such a small amount of people,
Yes.
but it is, I think, a really big impact on the industry that these 10 people can make.
Yes.
And then they help 10 more people. And so I guess we're announcing that we're going to keep the WAM going with the support of our first year graduates, with the class of 2020. And we're going to invite 10 new members to come in for 2021.
Mhm.
And they have to be a Pro Plus member of the library. Seal, you can talk about that a little bit, how they become a Pro Plus member.
So if they are already a Pro Access member, they would have to upgrade to Pro Plus. If they're a DIY member, and we have a lot of DIY members in the library, you'll need to upgrade to Pro Plus. That's $95 for the year, and it gives you access to so much more information. And I am making some big changes to the library in terms of how it looks,
Oh,
but the
good.
content is not changing. All of the valuable information that's there will still be there. I found that some of it is a little clunky to search for. So the team that is building the website is working on me with that. And there is new content coming to the library. So it's well worth the $95
Yes.
investment,
Yeah,
even if you're
absolutely.
not a WAM member. But the platform is what allows us to record each of our meetings and have access to them and that sort of thing. So
And keep that private
yeah,
conversation.
yeah, and there's a conversations and support area of the library that I've talked about this before. I love Facebook. I'm on it, and I think some of our groups on there are fantastic. The problem is that Facebook owns everything that's on there, and
Right.
if
Yeah.
they decide to shut down, it's all gone.
Yeah.
I've been carefully collecting and saving all of the old conversations. You mentioned the forum. There are close to 100,000 threads of conversation. So
Wow.
I'm getting help converting. That's not an easy process. But also the current conversations, of course, even it's still more private than Facebook because it's members of the library only. But you can add a picture, you can ask for help, you can, and you will never get the search in the upper left hand corner. This,
Right.
this has been covered before. The members of these different groups are so generous beyond words, but they're monitored by volunteers who have full-time workrooms to run, and it's just not always the best place to get information. And you and I have both seen answers where we've gone, that's not how I would choose to answer. And we just be quiet because everybody's got to do things their own way. Within the library, people are monitored. So if anyone gets snarky, they will get a private email from me. Don't be snarky. And it's just, as you said, a safer environment to learn and not feel foolish,
Yes.
and not feel like you should have known something already when in fact you should not.
Yeah, the focus is really about helping each other
Yes.
and education and supporting small business.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And just to give you an idea, the free to any DIY member is the Maffei pattern support.
Mhm.
And Marilyn Borchardt is still answering questions on there. She
That's
is the
amazing.
original designer of all of the Maffei
Yeah.
patterns.
Yeah.
She's in her 80s.
Also, she's well past retirement age.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. And for those of you who remember, Merlin is still answering questions in the conversation and support area, and she has retired.
Yeah.
I've tried very hard to interview her for the podcast and contact her. She's a very private person, but she is, again, beyond generous with her answers to questions. So it's really a wonderful place to get answers to questions as well as find information, step-by-step instructions for many things. So that commercial for the library aside.
That's not a commercial, but that's the best place for us to have the WAM membership.
Mhm.
It worked fantastic this year. And I think that it shows some intent by the people that join
Right.
to have a little money in it. That's okay. And even if you're not a WAM member, you get so much value for that.
Exactly.
So if you were interested in joining the 2021 class of WAM, then you will need to be serious about either starting a workroom business or have started a workroom business in your first 5 years. So we want people that are 5 years or less. Now, for those ladies that are already in the group, if you're rotating into year 6, we're not kicking you out, okay? You're in. So, but under 5 years, you must be a Pro Plus member of the library, and you must make a commitment to participate.
Yes.
It doesn't work if 2 or 3 people answer all the questions and the other 17 people sit back and take the information.
Right.
It has to be interactive. So you need to monitor and ask questions and share resources. And we have found that these new people to the industry have resources that we don't know about.
Yes.
Every time somebody shares something and we're like, oh, let me write that down. I've not heard of that.
We still have this opportunity to learn from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not about how long you've been in business, it's your life experience. Everybody has a different life experience.
And when we've talked about these people being new in the industry, not everyone is, let's say, under 35.
Some of them are.
Some of them are.
Some of them are over 55.
It's about to be, this is about being new to the industry, not being a certain age or being your first career or your first business even. This is about running this business fairly new.
Yes, every business is unique. And some people have more experience than others in the workroom industry or in other careers. You know, that's very, very helpful. We have everything in our WAM group, from law to
Law
enforcement to, fabrics and interiors, on and on and on. So it's really a varied background.
Right.
And if you want to join, you have to also make a commitment to keep the privacy of our members in mind. We don't share outside of our group without permission. So if you do see a discussion or somebody shares some information and then you're on Facebook and someone says, I'd like to learn about so-and-so, you don't copy and paste that over to Facebook. Right. So we really want to keep the integrity and privacy of our group whole. And that way we can trust each other and share more. And it works really well.
Like that, it is that safe space that we want it to be for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're under 5 years in business, you're willing to be a Pro Plus member of the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library, you're really engaged and you want to participate and meet these other people and develop these peer friendships, you might want to join to be a new WAM member. Now we're only accepting 10 new people. We want to keep this small. So I can't guarantee if you're listening to this that you'll get accepted. Seal has a form you can fill out.
I'll put a link to it. It's called a JOT form, and I'll link to it in the show notes. And I'll only leave it there until we get filled. So people aren't finding it and filling it out only to be disappointed and find out.
So if you're listening to this podcast in February or March, the group's probably already been filled. But if you go on and the JOT form is down, and you'll put up a message that says the group's been filled, and I'll do that on the blog as well. So we're going to share this information on the Workroom Tech blog and on the podcast, in the podcast notes. And you don't have to be a woman. It just ended up all women, guys are welcome too.
About that.
What else, Seal? I think that's I know what I was going to share.
What's that?
If you do not become a WAM member, you can still follow what we're doing, because we'll share. The WAM group helps us to create content for this podcast.
Absolutely.
So we'll share things.
Is anyone who cares to listen, not just the WAM members.
So, resources that are on the library, we can put links to those. a lot of sometimes the WAM members will ask for a how-to, and I'll put that on the blog, or share it to the Draper and Design Digital Digest for publication. So, there's all these interlocking segments of this. So if you're not necessarily a WAM member, you can still be a WAMmer on the
I don't want to say a WAM lurker, but
a WAM lurker.
that sounds terrible.
Maybe like an associate member.
There you go. And Susan, we discussed this, you didn't make it a requirement that people attend the Custom Workroom Conference, but as an attendee and an instructor for this year, I highly encourage, especially if you do want to join the WAM group, to start budgeting now for that to happen. It is the best investment you will ever make in your business, and it is an opportunity to spend time with like-minded people. Who did I just interview that said she was by herself? Oh, Jennifer Cheney.
Yeah.
Her podcast will be coming out prior to the release of this. She said that she heard about the conference on this podcast or my other podcast, I'm not sure, signed up for it on the last day and went by herself.
Oh.
And sat down by herself at a table. It was mealtime, and somebody came over and said, "You look like one of us, come join us." And then friends for the rest of the conference. And that's how it is for so many of us. So while it is not a set in stone requirement of a WAM member, you're going to have such FOMO if you don't go. I highly recommend you start putting a little bit of money aside now so that you can attend.
And that's for anyone new that's listening, that's the Custom Workroom Conference. And it was supposed to be in October 2020. It's been postponed. We're having it again, rescheduled for October 2021. You can find out information about that at customworkroomconference.com.
And I'll put a link to it.
And my husband and I produced the conference. So if you have any questions about it, you can always get in touch with me. But it really would be a wonderful place for our first 10 members and our next 10 members. That'd be 22 of us getting together for a WAM meetup in person. And oh my goodness, are we going to need some in person?
Yes, we are.
Get your vaccines so we can all get together.
Exactly.
It was funny because when I was listening to last January, when we were starting the WAM group, we talked about how much we love our friendships with experienced workrooms, people that have been around the block, that have been around forever, that we've known for 20 years and all that. But that the new people, the fresh faces, would give us a shot in the arm. That's what we said. And I went, "Oh, wow, is that appropriate for this year?"
Yeah, really. More than we could have ever realized.
So we hope that we can certainly get together by October and have the conference, and everybody can be together and we can meet up and get a picture and just give each other a hug. And boy, that's going to be amazing.
It really is. And there's so much I'm looking forward to this year. Before we started the podcast, we were both saying, like, January can be a little bit of a tough month anyway.
Yeah.
Having just come through what is probably the weirdest holiday season of my life. I know that there's an end in sight, so I'm excited about that, and I'm looking forward to seeing people. But being able to put my arms around people and give people a hug and see them in person is just, I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
So for those of you that are now going, "I want to be part of WAM, I want to be part of WAM," fill out the form. We'll try to do first come, first serve. I can't guarantee you'll get in, but under 5 years in business and dedicated to giving back and participating. And you have to join the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library as a Pro Plus member.
And definitely serious about running a business.
Yes, this is not for someone that just wants to hang out with the group, and maybe we'll have a business down the future. You have to be starting a business. And what a great opportunity, if you are, to ask questions about getting your business set up properly and setting up your pricing and setting up your workspace. And you'll get some wonderful ideas, marketing and all of that stuff. So I am looking forward to this. It's going to be really fun to watch our WAM members helping others.
Yes.
I feel really proud about that, and hope that other folks in the industry that can think about doing this kind of mentoring as well. We can only have a certain amount to make it work right.
Right.
know?
That's correct.
So, anyone that wants to give back and help, it's a great thing to do. It's really, we get more out of it than.
We've said that repeatedly through this year, that we've gotten more out of it than we've given to the WAM members. And they really are a unique group of people. And what they've given to each other and to us has been immeasurable.
I have to say, I think they're the smartest and best looking group of people I've ever met.
I agree.
How that came together, but they're all beautiful.
Yeah, it's just, and it's wonderful to see their smiling faces every month on the
Yeah.
Zoom screen. So yeah, but yeah, I am looking forward to October and seeing everybody in person.
Yeah, me too.
So, well, Susan, we are just about out of time.
I know.
And you and I could probably talk about this group for another half an hour easily, but we want to stay true to the title. So as I said, I'll put links to everything within the show notes. Once we do reach the number of the 10 people that are accepted into the group, I will take the jot form sign down, or jot form link down, so that people
And
aren't.
just for people that are interested, our meetings are on Monday evenings
Yes.
at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're thinking about joining, you already have commitments on Monday evenings, it might not be the right time for you to join them, but that seems to have worked well for everybody.
Right. And I know there were a couple people initially that started, but then couldn't follow through because of the timing. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that time, so that it's aware. But like I said, we even had one person working around their dinner break. So sometimes she was in her car, sometimes
Like,
no. And it was so awesome because that she was making it a priority for herself. So
she's great.
all right. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. And as we said, the link will be in there. We look forward to seeing who is going to join us for this upcoming year. And to our current WAM group, you are graduates, but you're not going anywhere because we're not ready to be empty nesters.
I didn't use my best description. They are now WAM ambassadors to the industry.
Yes.
And for all of you new people, welcome to the WAMily.
I love that. I love that.
Can't believe I went the whole podcast and didn't use my 2 WAM.
You saved the best for last.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye.